Hello and welcome to the Footy Philosophy Podcast. I'm the host today, Brendan Powers, here again with my man Kev as he rocks the Michigan sweater for
Yeah.
his boys. Rip, Mr. Harbaugh. How we doing,
Hey, we
Kev?
still won. We are doing good. Sorry, I didn't hear you. We are
No,
doing
you're
good.
fine.
There's been lots of stuff happening. It's kind of even hard to keep up at this point, as I'm sure it's going to get crazier because the January transfer window is what pretty much just 24 hours left now, in some cases. And yeah, we'll talk about some of those transfers. But the man that stole everyone's attention, Jurgen Klopp, announcing he's leaving at the end of the season. My oh my. I was shocked as I told you, but you said that it kind of made sense for him.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, he's won everything he could at Liverpool, and working for a top club is very tiring. It's a lot easier, and this isn't a shot at Pep, but it's a lot easier when you're Pep Guardiola and you can essentially get whoever you want. He's been operating without a DM this whole season. They look fantastic, even without a proper DM, but it's probably why if they do lose, that's going to be everyone's going to point to that as the issue. He talks about taking a sabbatical, which makes a lot of sense, man. Like he's essentially been coaching every single year for, you know, his whole life. And he's got to be probably in his 50s or 60s now. And I think, it's just my opinion, Nagelsmann's contract is over after the Euro. And I think he'll probably take that job, spend some time, you know, with the family, with the grandkids. And yeah, did you find him taking a step back to be weird for you? Like, were you
Yeah.
surprised?
I was surprised, um, mainly to just do it now, in the middle of the season. Not necessarily the decision, but the timing was strange. I don't know
I think he's playing mind games there. Um,
how so.
so I think he's trying to give his team a boost. And I'm guessing a lot of the guys didn't know that he was gonna step down, and I'm sure he told them, and then he went out and was like, "I'm really tired, like I need to take a break." And I think, and this is just my opinion, those guys are gonna try to win everything for him. There's no questions about it. I think it's going to give them the boost, and he knows this. He's a smart guy. It's going to give them the boost they need to win the league. It's going to give them the boost they need to win the FA Cup, and it's going to give them the boost they need to win the Europa League. And uh, I'm not sure if they're going to win all those things. They could easily go trophyless, but I think that was his reasoning um, to put it all on the table so everybody knows that hey, we gotta do something for Jurgen here.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you kind of just forget that he has been the coach for 9 years. It's been a long time. That's a long time in football.
Especially at the same club.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I personally think we were talking about this a little before. I think his tenure has been successful.
Yeah.
I think he's like you said, he's won everything he can. Maybe not, the abundance that some people would like, but you're going up against oil money that Liverpool do not have. I'm going to put it that way. No disrespect to Pep Guardiola and some of those players, but at the end of the day, there's no combing over the fact that you're going up against oil money. And for 3 years, I think Liverpool stood toe to toe with City, and they played some really nice stuff. It's definitely the end of the era for Liverpool, so it's kind of feels like Michigan in a way, like Virgil van Dijk saying, "Yeah, I'm not sure about my future." It opens the door for a player like Salah to leave as well. Um, yeah,
Well, and
we'll
those guys might want to take that opportunity. It might be the opportunity to do something different, when the guy who brought you in is leaving, it changes things. And, this isn't just a guy who's been at Liverpool for 9 years. He was at Dortmund for 7, left Dortmund, right for Liverpool, no sabbatical. Was at Mainz for 7, left Mainz, and no time off, went right to Dortmund. So when you actually put that all into perspective, he's actually been coaching for 24 straight years, no break. That's got to be a lot on the mental, and to have to constantly evolve. I mean, no wonder he's drained.
Yeah. I mean, he's been coaching, consecutively for longer than I've been alive. So that's pretty crazy, dude.
That
Um,
is actually really crazy. I didn't even think of it like that.
yeah.
Jeez.
Um, I don't know. He's a legend. He'll be a legend of Liverpool. 1 out of 10. You
He's
gotta.
probably their best ever manager, you'd have to say, right?
Yeah. I'm not too
Him or
educated on.
Benitez. Him or
Mm,
Benitez, you'd think, based on
no,
their
sir. I
trophy,
know,
their
sir. I
European
know.
trophies.
I know that they had some class managers in like the 70s and 80s. I just can't. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But
I
no,
mean, they haven't won a league title since '89 before him.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so you'd have. I'm looking at it. You'd have to say whoever was the manager from like 72 to 90 was pretty class. They won the league in 72, 73, 75, 76, 76, 77, 78, 79, 79, 80, 81, 82, 82, 83, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88. Um,
Yeah, and that's why that Jurgen
and they
Klopp.
won 4 European trophies in that time. So the first came under Bob Paisley, who added 2 more to the trophy cabinet before his successor Joe Fagan also won the infamous cup. And then, obviously Rafa oversaw 0405.
Yeah, so Paisley's up there, but who's gonna replace Jurgen Klopp? I know you mentioned. Did you mention Nagelsmann, or were you saying
Yeah,
Klopp?
I mentioned Nagelsmann. I think Nagelsmann and Klopp might do a little switcheroo here.
Fair. You can't not talk about Xabi Alonso as well.
He's the favorite right now. And you also have to mention someone like De Zerbi, um, who's probably going to throw his hat into the ring. The thing about Xabi Alonso is, my personal opinion is I think he probably stays at Leverkusen. Um, just the way I see it, and I think that I don't know whoever's going to come in. It's actually going to be a rebuild. A lot of Liverpool fans are talking that we need a manager to fight now, and I don't think that should be the aspiration. Um, that was the aspiration when Sir Alex Ferguson left. And I do think they're coming into a new era, but I don't think they're built for the new era yet. They're missing a couple key pieces, I think. And if 2 key components, and I'll mention a third here in a sec, if VVD and Salah decide to leave, which both are nearing the end of their career, VVD is not English. He has no reason to stay in England. Um, I think pretty much 99.999% of clubs would take VVD into their team. Um, but we don't really know what team VVD grew up supporting. He could be a Barca fan, he could be a Bayern Munich fan, he could be a, PSG fan. I doubt it, but I'm just throwing teams out there that, maybe he's like, okay, I pretty much can have my pick here. And, if a Bayern came knocking, or let's just say a Real Madrid or a Barca, and you could argue that Liverpool are better than these teams, but maybe he just wants to play in a different country. Maybe he's tired of the Prem. And then with Salah, he's already had one foot out the door for like 2 years now. Got a nice juicy contract, and he is Muslim, so he might want to go play in like Saudi or something. And then the third one I'll throw out there, someone that is just heavily linked away constantly. Trent Alexander-Arnold might want to try his trade somewhere else. And if even 2 of those 3, or even if one of them leave, there's a massive hole that needs to be filled for Liverpool in the long run.
Yeah, I. The thing is, their squad now. There's something to work with. I think I think I'd meet you somewhere in the middle between rebuild and compete now. They need to sort of just like sort of consolidate and find their level, probably looking for top four and then
Yeah,
compete for trophies.
I
Um,
agree. But if they get the hire wrong, that's the thing.
yeah,
If
for
they
sure.
get the hire wrong, it's gonna be really, really ugly.
Yeah, I think that's why I don't really want, or if I'm a Liverpool fan, I don't really want De Zerbi to come, and it's
No,
no
me
disrespect
neither.
to him either. But this would be his first, ginormous role. Too much of a risk. Nagelsmann, I think, would be perfectly fine, and Xabi Alonso, I think, would be even a bit riskier than Nagelsmann, just considering
I,
that
yeah.
he hasn't necessarily coached a big team yet. Bayer Leverkusen's big, but it's not even close to Liverpool. So
No. And, another hat to just throw in the rink would be like a Hansi Flick. Uh,
yeah,
won a treble at Bayern. He's unemployed. Um, and if I, obviously Liverpool fans want to dream on the Xabi Alonso train here, but if I'm Liverpool management, I have to go secure a top name, um, that I know what they're going to get me because he's got to live up to Klopp, and Klopp has essentially become like, this isn't me comparing him to this person, but we don't want to see Liverpool turn into the uh, downward spiral of a Manchester United, which is
yeah,
what you're floating with here. Like I'm pretty sure United won a league and then Sir Alex Ferguson left and then it just all went to shit.
yes. The one thing worth
I
mentioning, though,
might say that's wrong. That could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but
no, yeah, United won the league in his last year. Um,
okay, that's what I thought. I mean, and
Fenway,
then
and
it just all shit hit the fan. I mean,
yeah,
you're really playing with fire here. That could happen to that could happen to Liverpool. I'm not saying it
right,
will, but
and
give me a superstar there that you couldn't see leaving with Klopp moving.
oh, I see.
You
It's
know
it's
what I
hard,
mean? Like,
hard. Probably Allison, I would say, but
yeah. Well, yeah, but
besides that, I don't know.
a goalkeeper can win you games, but you need others in other positions. Like if they lose Salah, man, like their goal scoring, it's gonna be tough to replace.
Yeah,
If they lose VVD, man, like they're gonna have to sign a top tier center back. And like a lot of people are saying, like, oh, those are BS rumors, and maybe they are, but it would be weird to not think that these guys might want to move and try something new as Klopp moves.
without a doubt. It's The one thing I will say though is Fenway are smarter than the Glazers at United. Um, I think it's quite obvious why. Just look at the on the pitch results. But
Yeah, but you have to just there's not a lot of good coaches out there right now, man. That's
no,
really
there's
the
not.
issue.
Yeah,
Um, a lot of good coaches are actually plying their trades at like mid-table clubs, and they need to get someone that's not going to come in and overcoach, and they need to get someone in that um they don't have to continue what Klopp's doing, but you're going to have to keep a lot of players happy or they might look elsewhere because it's not like their players are paid extravagant wages other than Salah.
yeah,
Like when you look at like the world's highest paid players, like the only player that comes close is Salah. Um, and probably Virgil finds himself a little bit towards the middle of the pack of the highest paid, I would guess. Um, but Salah is only getting that because he just signed a new contract. He
yeah,
wasn't getting that before. But I know you were about to mention, 0 out of 10, what would you give him? So let's get back onto that.
yeah.
0 out of 10, what would you give Klopp from his time at Liverpool?
I would give him. I would give him a 9. Took him a while to get started, but you cannot blame him. The team was not very good.
No, they
It
were
was not.
terrible.
And Brendan Rodgers didn't play like anything remotely close to Klopp either. So it's not like I have guys here, that I can work with. Klopp needed a whole new team. really Jordan Henderson was the only player that was there before, from what I remember. And then obviously the years were of dominance of brilliance. They almost had an invincible season had it not been for a goal line decision. Um, I would say that the transition from like what was it, 17 to 19, 17 to 20, those years where they were really good, or maybe 18 to 20. The transition, Klopp kind of lost his head a bit in the sense of fitting a square peg in a round hole, like just trying to keep the system going when he knew he needed to adapt. But this year they're back in relevance, so 9 out of 10. I mean, he's won everything. He's won everything. Maybe just not at the volume, like I said at the beginning. But
Yeah, for me, probably like an 8 out of 10. I would have liked. I know the city that they were competing against, but I thought they should have won more league titles than they did. Um, and it's not really their own fault. You're just kind of cursed. But at the end of the day, no one's gonna look back and be like, like we were just looking at like Sir Alex Ferguson. Like, oh yeah, he won the league in his last year. Like we didn't care who came in second, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Um, so in the last 6 years, Man City have won five and Liverpool have won one, which isn't good for a team that was doing as well as they were in European competitions. Um, but moving on, I think we've kind of exhausted this. Eder
yeah.
Militao renewed until 2028 despite tearing his ACL before the season starts. And it seems like weird timing, but you just assume the club is using this to show confidence in him. They like his rehab, and it's probably a deal that was already agreed on before the ACL tear, but they just decided to announce it now. Any thoughts on Real Madrid renewing Eder Militao?
I mean, it's great that you have tied down probably your most important defender, I would say.
Yeah, probably our best defender too.
Yeah. Um, it's a guy that he came in and it wasn't like he stole all the headlines. Like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Eder Militao. I think you need a long term partner for him, but obviously, you know, you have one of your center back pairing for the next couple of years, which is great.
Yeah. And Rudiger and Alaba were well, Rudiger specifically, we don't know if Alaba will come back from his ACL tear, but um last year they were good enough for now. Um
Yeah.
and you'll find someone eventually and you'll get there, right? Uh just moving on, Benzema is asked to leave Al Ittihad after being treated poorly despite having 14 goals and assists in 15 games. He's been booed, whistled, deactivated his Instagram at some point, and he asked to leave, and Al Ittihad declined it. But they said, "Hey, we'll send you on loan to another Saudi club." Just do you do you think Benzema regrets signing there, or do you just think he misses Europe, or what do you think why do you think he wants to leave? Just the poor treatment from fans? I mean, he's getting paid like a king.
Yeah, it's hard to think about the reasons why he'd want to leave. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Benzema's Muslim, right?
He is, yeah.
Yeah. So
So the
obviously
fit's
Saudi
there.
Arabia, yeah, Saudi Arabia is much different than Europe, but at the same time, this is a place where it's not as if you know he's a religious rival. Like they're not booing him for that reasons. They're probably just booing him because the team are doing bad and they want to blame him. And they're using him as a scapegoat. Um,
He has had a couple injuries too. Um,
yeah,
so
I don't know, man. I don't know if he'd regret it because that kind of money is ridiculous, but maybe he does. Maybe he just feels sort of like,
you
it's like when you're in timeout at recess and you see like all your friends playing, and that's how he feels about Europe. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just speculating.
well, you always have to realize that anytime anybody moves from Real Madrid, it's never going to be a easy move. Luka Modric has a famous quote that always does the rounds. It's like he essentially said it's only downhill after you leave Real Madrid, and it's just the truth, man. Yeah, and moving this to another striker, Osimhen has made his decision. Um, do we think this is a broad decision, like I'm leaving, or do we think he has his eye on a specific team? And if so, who do you think the specific team is?
I I think it's Chelsea as much as I don't want it to be.
I think so too.
Um,
I think it's
so
just a match made in heaven.
yes, I think Arsenal are going to try in the summer, but I think it's Chelsea. And it pains me to say it. It absolutely pains me to say it. Uh, I wish I could be objective, but I just can't. I just can't be
Yeah.
objective. Um, yeah, I think it's Chelsea. I think it's pretty plain and simple that he's leaving. He's been through a lot this season when it comes to clashing agents and then his own team, kind of shitting on him on TikTok. Like
The
he's been through
classing
a lot, man.
agents thing is just a clown show right now at Napoli. It's incredible. This team won the
Yeah,
league last year. Um, the difference literally a couple months makes.
yeah, and I don't know what the rules are, but I'm sure Chelsea have already been like, yeah, we're gonna pay you the big bucks. Um,
As they should. I mean, they
yeah,
need to find more than anybody in the world, probably.
yeah. I think it's probably not a reason to talk about it. I just think it's really scary. Osimhen winding up at Chelsea, to be honest.
Yeah, he's a class player. Talking about transfers though, we've been having a lot of movement this winter. Has it felt like a lot for you too?
Um, I
In
would say
comparison
so.
to past years. I mean, like obviously it's not like summer, but it's mid-season. Like usually
Yeah,
teams aren't having this many people move, and I guess this is just, what happens when there's a lot of money going around and you're paying people a lot of money to either suck or, not play, so you try to move them.
yeah. I think there's been quite a bit. I mean, this is the most aware I've been of the game, like in my whole life. So there's that aspect to it. But there's also, I think there's more like kind of headline loan deals. Like you have Sancho, and then last year Cancelo. I'm obviously forgetting a ton, but
Yeah.
um,
We don't need you to go through the list.
yeah, loans are becoming more prominent. I'm
Especially for the winter. And then I think they try to use them to hopefully get that their value goes up and then maybe move them a little bit.
yeah, and I think there's also a COVID aspect to it where you're not paying a massive transfer fee,
Yeah, I agree.
especially for teams that aren't in the Prem, like a Dortmund or a Barcelona. So yeah,
So getting into those transfer though, Sacha Boey to Bayern, done deal, 30 million, right back. I
let
know you
me
were looking at, yeah.
yeah
Show us the goods. I want to look at this too. So
let's share. We
there we go.
have his scouting report
Wow.
here. Standard stats per 90. He
What we
is
can get from the Turkish league, which isn't a lot normally. Wow,
well,
that
well,
progressive passes is really nice.
yeah. So this is
Aggressive
compared
carries.
his peers in the Big Five leagues, UCL and UEL. 540 minutes played, not a whole lot, but
It's based on his European football, not his Turkish football.
yeah,
But
nonetheless.
still, I mean, it's a small sample size, but you take what you can see, and that's really interesting.
Shot
Um,
creating actions 3.67 per 90, 97th percentile. Um, you know, Successful take ons for a right back is really good here. This guy is
I'm
really good. Really good.
I'm looking at the similar players list, and it's a bunch of guys that aren't even similar to each other,
Yeah,
like Juan Foyth and Rubial and Berchichi and Cancelo.
yeah. Juan Foyth
It's
is
just it was
very
funny.
similar to João Cancelo for sure.
Jonas Hector doesn't have a squad, bro. That's kind of crazy. I didn't know that. What
That
happened
is
there? I'm
crazy.
kind of curious. He's a good footballer, man. He retired. He's only 33. Okay, I'm gonna move on though. Oh wait, do you have anything else to say on Sacha Boey?
No, other than it looks like Bayern are getting a class player.
Yeah, they should be. I think they should be quite excited about him. He looks to be the part of what something they were looking for, and it's a much better buy than Kieran Trippier. Like it makes a lot more sense for a club like Bayern to go get a Sacha Boey than it does. And guess what? If he flops, whatever. But at least you're
He's
not
only
paying. I'm sure his wages are really low because he's a young guy. Trippier would have been making good money, even though the transfer fee would have been low. And you can probably move him even if he kind of flops, probably pretty easily, I would think.
yeah. FBref has him down as a left back too, so that's nice.
Oh,
That's my
nice.
thing to
Yeah,
say.
that is nice. But his heat map is definitely all right back. I
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
at that.
right
It's
down.
pretty much red box to box. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's definitely a win for them, though. And, it's a guy that they can develop. And with a lot of uncertainty at that club right now between manager, players, um, Kimmich is upset, Davies is upset. They're mad that their renewals haven't been made a priority because, you feel like you're not important. And, in other clubs, like, for someone like Kimmich, with City being like sniffing around and Barca sniffing around and all these links, you're kind of like, huh, you don't find me to be important, but these guys would pretty much do anything for me. So it's a good buy for them. And if he can play left back, that's great for the whole Fonzie potentially departure, which is becoming more and more likely by the week because we're not seeing a renewal and we haven't even heard of talks or anything. Um,
Mhm.
but it's a great move for them. And, you expect for him to at least be good enough to be a backup. They signed Mazraoui from Ajax on a free, and he hasn't really been any manager's cups of tea.
No,
Um,
I don't think he's really what Tuchel wants, but yeah.
yeah, but Tuchel's very specific about what he wants.
The thing
Calvin
is,
Phillips on loan. Oh no, go. Sorry.
yeah, no, no. I was just gonna say the thing is, if you're going with Tuchel long term, a guy like Sasha Bowie is someone that Tuchel would want. But if you're uncertain about Tuchel's future, then I don't know why you'd bring a guy like this in. I would have gone for someone like Trippier personally. But
I would see. I'm actually the opposite.
oh, really?
I would have went. Yeah, I would have went for someone like Sacha Boey, someone that can grow. If I was unsure about Tuchel, instead of Trippier, who is someone he asked for specifically. Um, who's a little bit older, you're going to pay him a lot of money. At least, with Sacha Boey, you can kind of, and Bayern have done a good job with their recruiting department over the years on young players. Joshua Kimmich, for one of them, who they brought into their academy. I know he's an academy product, but they brought him into their academy. Leon Goretzka, Fonzie, Musiala, Matthias Tell, like the list kind of goes on and on of young players that they've brought in and have kind of succeeded. They kind of have a good eye for talent, and you kind of trust your scouts on this one. I think.
Yeah,
I'm not
fair.
quite sure how old he is, but
He's
that's why I
23.
think. Okay, so he's got so much time to grow, man. You gotta like it a lot. Is he from Paris? Because that'd be freaking funny. No, he's from Montreal, Saint Denis. Um, Not that this matters, but Calvin Phillips to West Ham on loan with not an obligation, with potential to buy. City got to be hoping he buys. Pep they asked Pep if they're going to replace him, and he goes, "No, no, no, we don't need to replace him." And why would he need to replace a player who never plays?
Yeah,
They're taking a massive loss on him. Uh, got to
I
be
don't
one of the
even.
biggest flops in the EPL, right? Like transfer
Yeah, but
wise.
I don't even know how much it's his fault because he hasn't even gotten to
That's
play.
true.
Like
That's true.
I don't know if you can you can make it like a philosophical thing and be like, I don't know if you can consider it a flop if it never even had the potential to flop in the first place. You know what I
Well,
mean?
his market value when they bought him was 50 and it's already down to, oh no, it's already down to 28.
Yeah, it's bad too. And but the thing is, this is a good thing for West Ham because they add depth primarily in a season where they're in Europa still, and you know they're they're competing for Europa again. Maybe make a somewhat of a push towards UCL, but he's a player like Declan Rice. Not that they've really been missing him a whole lot, but he's gonna you know it's been a while since I've seen him play, but he's a good holding mid. Let's just say that, and he can contribute with some goals. I remember at Leeds he did score some important goals for them, and he can play in the 8 too if you need him, if you absolutely need him. I remember in the Euro actually, Rice was the less advanced, and Phillips was the more advanced in Euro 2021.
Oh,
So yeah,
good. Love it.
yeah,
To be honest, I don't have any comments on Calvin Phillips. I never really thought he was that good to begin with. I thought it was a really weird buy based on profile for Pep, and yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I was going to say something, but it's not even relevant to this.
fair enough.
But moving on, Atletico has made a decent amount of moves. They signed a DM. I hear he's not a sole DM in Artur Vermeeren. They let
Yeah,
Javi Gallan go to Real Sociedad. They bring in Moises Kean on loan to Atletico from Juventus, 500K. And they let the Leicester City center back, who I never know how to say his name, go that they brought in on a free to Fenerbahce.
yeah. Soyuncu.
It's like, so thank you. I was gonna say Soyunco or something like that.
Yeah,
Every single time I see it, I say it completely different.
I like
Yeah,
every single one of these moves from Atletico.
yeah, they're all really good.
Vermeeren will be good for them for a long time. He, like you said, he's not only a DM. I'd like him in a double pivot. Not a single pivot, but yeah, he's pretty technical and he's 2-footed as well. Really tall and strong. He's sort of like a Rodri, but not really. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
heard
not.
he's best in a double pivot based on the people that I see. They said he's more of a double pivot kind of DM. But
Yeah,
it's a need they need, and maybe they don't need kind of a sole DM in that spot anyway. Koke's been playing there all season, and not only that, they play with a back three, so he'll have a lot of cover behind him.
yeah. No, that's a great signing for them. And then Moise Keane, I don't mind it at all. He's just kind of one of those guys that has never been able to find his place, and so if Atletico ends up being the one that clicks for him, he'll be good there.
On Twitter, someone said he's one of those players that somehow always finds a way to fail upwards.
it's not a bad thing, I guess. Yeah. Soyuncu, I
And
don't.
yeah, he leaves and he wasn't playing, and Javi Guyon got brought in last summer and he leaves and he wasn't playing. So, both Fenerbahce and Sociedad will take those players and be happy. And then I think they're probably hoping that to gain some value from both of them. And, this is kind of become a strategy, from La Liga clubs, unfortunately, where they sign guys on freeze. Um, and then they kind of move them. And Atletico only paid 3.5 million for um sorry, signing of Javi Gaya and his rival for 3.5 million. Um Plus they got Manu Sanchez in the deal, it seems. Um so that's not bad.
No. Uh,
He's played 0 minutes. And I've only seen him play like once or twice. This article was written a long time ago, obviously.
yeah.
Um but
I know.
it's definitely interesting to say the least.
Yeah. I know that we have a few more transfers written down, but are there any you'd like to talk about?
Specifically, yeah, actually, there are two I want to talk about. Rakitic, or not two. There's a couple. I just want to mention Radik, Rakitic is leaving Sevilla for Al Shabab. Matic goes from Stade Rennais to Lyon. Leander Dendocker and Perez from Unidense both joined Napoli. And this is the one that really interests me is Luis Enrique, who I'm a huge fan of right winger, in my opinion, one of the best right wings in the world. Going to Botafogo for 20 million. It's their biggest transfer of all time.
Huh.
And then they also Borja Iglesias joins Leverkusen after Victor Boniface's injury. So some real interesting movement there. And just, something that rumor today, just I saw like 2 hours ago, which I thought was really interesting because I mentioned Leverkusen. Marco Asensio has been linked with Bayer Leverkusen, which I think would be a perfect move for him and his level.
On loan or permanent?
I would assume permanent. I don't really think he's playing much at PSG. I mean, look at PSG. Barcola's kind of taken over that role.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And they have
yeah,
Dembele. Yeah,
yeah, and then it looks like Newcastle isn't going to move anyone despite, all the hoopla going on beforehand.
yeah. No,
You know
that's
what I
that's
mean?
interesting because it seemed like they're being pretty dramatic about it.
Yeah, and Eddie Howe was very openly talking about how he didn't want to lose any players. Um,
I wouldn't if I were him either. After what they've
no,
been.
no, they need him. They
Yeah,
need they need all of them.
yeah,
But I think we're going to see a lot of exits in the off season,
without a doubt,
from that club.
without a doubt.
So moving on to the interesting part of the pod, I'm going to mention a couple Copa scores here. Real Sociedad knock out Celta Vigo 2-1. Mallorca go up 3-0 and Girona try to fight back, but they can't. And Mallorca go up 3-2 with Rafi Nadal in the house. And Sevilla lose to Atletico Madrid 1-0. So we have Athletic Club versus Atletico, Mallorca versus Real Sociedad. So the Basque Derby final is alive. But getting to the real interesting part, Athletic Club eliminate Barca 4-2 and added in extra time. Were you shocked when you saw this result?
Considering it was, let me see, I can't pronounce it. The San Mames,
San
San Mam,
Mamés.
the San
San
Mamés.
Mamés. It's a lot
Considering it
easier
was,
than you think.
yeah, considering it was there, not necessarily, and Barcelona have just been very erratic. I think is a way to put it. But
We'll get to that. If you scroll down
yeah,
a little bit, you'll see. Um,
yeah.
he didn't make the starting lineup. But
But he was there.
yes, he played. He scored the game-winning goal. Which is crazy
Forgive me. It's
because
been a long
we'll
week.
just get it. Well, I was gonna say it's real easy to forget when we don't do midweeks too. Um,
Yeah.
Athletic Club actually had a private jet waiting for Inaki Williams in the Ivory Coast just in case Ghana got eliminated. Um, and I don't know if you saw how they got eliminated, but Ghana were up 2-0 in the 90th minute. They give up a pen in the 90th. It's 2-1. The ball's going out for a goal kick. The keeper touches the ball. They concede a corner, and then they concede a goal, and just like that, they're knocked out in like 5 minutes. They went from advancing to knocked out, um, being up by
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. I saw like a
Um,
little TikTok about that butterfly effect because it then meant,
which
indirectly it meant Xavi left Barcelona. But yeah.
yes, yes, exactly. But
Yeah.
so Inaki shows up, scores the third goal, coming off the bench, obviously. And, just back to the San Mess. It's somewhere I've been to a game, and it is the most wonderful sporting experience I've ever had firsthand in my life. Like from like obviously like when Real Madrid wins, like that's euphoric, or when I'm in the Bernabeu, that's euphoric for me. But like from a non me just being in an environment, it was the craziest place I've ever been. Um, I've been to the Big House, I've been to Beaver Stadium, two amazing environments, but neither of them live up to the San Mamés. These people feel a direct connection to the club because of their transfer strategy, because they grew up with the players, they know the players, they see the players around the city. It's very common. People know where you can find the players, where the players go out to eat a lot. And so, it's not really a big city. It's not even a big province, as we discussed. But the connection between the players and the fans, them all being Basque, it makes it so much better than what it is. And it's not one of those stadiums where it's like business. You know, like it's not one of those stadiums where you get a bunch of suits. There's no
Yeah.
suits in that stadium ever. It's a bunch of young people, grandpas, children, um, adolescents, teens with their males, females with their athletic jerseys on, with their athletic scarves around their neck. I don't know if you saw that video, but the one kid was literally crying on TV, like literally like bawling. And it's just wonderful to see. It's a city that I actually have a very amazing connection with. I've been there 3 times now. I love that city. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. Um, but part of that is because of the San Mames environment I experienced.
Yeah.
Um, and it was so beautiful to see. And it could have been Barcelona. It could have been Atletico. It could have been fucking Leganés. Um, and the truth is, and you probably won't know this, and a lot of listeners definitely won't know this, is that, when you talk about the Spanish Big Three, it's Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Athletic Club. Like, that's the Spanish Big Three. Go look at the trophies, go look at the history. Um, they're the third biggest club in Spain. Um, and not monetary wise, but like, trophy cabinet wise. I've done the tour of the San Mames. It's just, it's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful city. Historically speaking, they're the third biggest club in Spain.
Hmm. I didn't know that. Congrats to them. Did you have any comments about the game? I didn't get to watch the game. Obviously, it was
Yeah, I
four
have a
two,
lot of
so it was
comments
pretty.
about it.
Yeah.
So Adu Aris actually finds his way into the lineup. I know we've been talking a lot about Berenguer starting on the right wing, but Adu Aris finds his way into the lineup. It's only his fifth appearance. Imagine your fifth appearance being against FC Barcelona. Um,
Yeah.
they didn't have Inaki to start the game. And I thought Adu Aris actually played a fantastic game, and even Unai Simon didn't start the game. Um, I don't want to. I want to make sure I say the keeper's name right. But he's the backup. He's really good, and I just want to mention that when you actually look at the pipeline of Athletic Club keepers, it's pretty insane. Athletic Club had 29 shots, by the way. Agrizeb, Ag- I hate Basque, bro. It's such a crazy Agirzebla. I said it wrong, but I'm gonna say it wrong again. I'm not even gonna try. I know how to say it, but I need to like hear it again. As you can tell, as you know, Kev, I'm not great with names.
Okay.
But you have him, you have Unai Simon, you got Kepa, and that's all within like a 10-year span of their um academy. So it's
Yeah.
wonderful. Atletico literally scored in the first minute. Gurizeta. You see, I can say certain Bass names. Um, Gets the goal after Nico drives down the wing, plays a cross into the box, and it pinballs around, and then it finally finds Gurizeta in the box. And Barcelona get 2 goals before half, so they're up 2-1. And then after the second half starts, Nico Williams plays a perfect cross for the box, and this kid is just so good, man. Um, the trajectory of him is just world class. He's the potential to be one of the best wingers in the world. And I was watching the game. Athletic Club were the better team, but Lamine Yamal, he's 16-year-old. He had the chance to put away 2 goals, 1-on-1 with the keeper, fucked up both of them. And they go into added time. Inaki scores the winner in extra time. The San Mames goes crazy, and then his brother Nico grabs another, and Barcelona get eliminated 4-2. I actually told my friend who is a Barca fan, I said Inaki's coming back, just so you know, so you're getting eliminated today. And he
Yeah.
goes, nah, that's not happening. And I said, just wait. Athletic Club are going to do it for Nestor Valverde, the ex-Barca coach. This team always plays Barca really, really well. Um, and then we come into the important part here. The Xavi comments post-game and the Xavi comments pre-game of the Villarreal. Xavi says, Today is the first day of a new Barca. I've been here for 2.5 years at the club. I know I have less time than more. Pep was only here for 4, Luis Enrique for 3, and there will come a time for me to leave, rest assured. You miss people when they leave. Look at Boozy, Alba, the titles, Ernesto Valverde. I hope you will all miss me. And then he goes to say, the board tells me to forget about leaving. They're happy with the project. And in fact, with Deco, we are already talking about next season.
Crazy, 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 crazy. I mean, that brings up the 5-3 loss to Villarreal.
Yes. And then, which is even worse in hindsight when you really think about it. I'm just, Barca are up. They go down 2-0. They fight back. They fucking fight back. They go up 3-2, and then they collapse 5-3 in added time. There's one in like the 82nd minute, 83rd minute. Gonzalo Guedes scores. Pretty sure you haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
yeah. And then they go up 2 in added time, bro. And the Barca team, like when teams just the whole team is just sits like they're all just laying on the field like in agony. That
yeah,
that was literally the Barca team. They showed it. They were literally sitting there, laying there in agony. As Barca lose 5-3, and Xavi officially resigns from the post
yes. It's
at the end of the season.
right, right. It's so strange. I don't. Just some of his comments have been really. I don't get it, to be honest. I don't get why he's just like he's saying like the number one problem is me, man. I don't know. It's so it's just weird. It feels fishy in a way.
Well, and there's people that actually believe that it is fishy. There's a guy I follow in Spain on Twitter, and he wrote a fucking novel, dude. It was like 35 tweets long, and I'll summarize it for you. Essentially, Xavi said this because of Laporta, and apparently Laporta never really wanted Xavi. He just kind of ran on the platform of Xavi because of that was his opponent's platform, and it was very popular among fans. And he really just didn't really want Xavi to succeed, so he could bring in his own guy. And Xavi's kind of doing this to throw him under the bus a little bit. It was kind of the gist of it all.
Hmm.
Um, and let's be honest, Xavi is a you know Barcelonista, culé. He wants what's best for Barcelona, for the club. Um, and he probably believes that he's not really needed right now. Unfortunately for me, us Madrid fans would love for him to stay in the post forever.
Yeah, no, it's weird how he's saying like even I remember it now. It's like even if we win the Champions League or even if we somehow win La Liga, even if we win both, I'm leaving this season. I don't
Yeah,
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. He's won them in the league. This is the best that they've been in a decent bit. I don't get it.
probably since Messi left. On paper, a lot of people are saying this team isn't good, but on paper, this team is actually really good. You spent a lot of
Yeah.
money on Koundé. You got a young Balde. You have João Cancelo, who's considered one of the best right backs in the world, even though I don't agree, but he's considered that. You have a should be Ballon d'Or winner in Lewandowski, even though he's a little past it. You have a Ferran Torres, who was wanted by every club in the world before his transfer to City. You have Rafinha, who you bought for 70 million. You have Lamine Yamal, who's a 16-year-old who's awesome. You have Gavi, Pedri, Gundogan, Frankie De Jong. There's four midfielders right there that every team in the world would kill. You have Kunde. You have Araujo, who every team in the world would kill to have. You have Christensen as a backup. You have Inago Martinez as a backup. These are guys that are starters for many clubs in the world. So, on paper, this and you have like at the back end you have Matt's Marc-Andre Stegen, who is one of the best keepers in the world, easily top 10, probably top 5.
Yes.
Um, and it's just, it just feels like a lot of excuses for it, it just doesn't feel right. And, this is the Madridista in me coming out, but the Spanish RFEF, which is the refereeing, and they host the Copa and the Super Cup. They're about to lose a lot of money if Barca don't end up in um, Super Cup, because that's part of the deal is that Barca and Real, they have to go to the Super Cup. That's why Barca and Real get the most money, because the deal is like contingent on them being there. So they're gonna find a way to get them into the Super Cup, I feel. They are going to have to pay money out of pocket if they don't. It's kind of like a penalty, I guess.
Huh.
Or it's gonna cost them money in some sort of way. So be prepared to listen to me bitch on this podcast about Barcelona getting a lot of calls, because I think they're going to do everything in their power to make sure they get in second place.
Oh wow. Oh wow. We'll
Money,
see. We'll
money.
see. Yeah.
Kev, money.
Of course. Of course.
You
I
can
did have
clip
one.
that.
I will. I was thinking about it.
What's the time note on this? The time is 50, like around 48. Look in
Yeah.
that range. No, but seriously, money. We've already talked about the money in the sport. It's really important, and it's already a corrupt league. The refs are already corrupt. They're already terrible. Um, and just expect that there's going to be some shady stuff going on, because it's going to cost them money at the end of the day. And the guy who got in trouble for the kissing the Spanish player, the women's
No.
player,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Ruby,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, Rubiales. He made a shit ton of money from this deal. Like, he got paid
Mm,
every time they went. Uh, Gerard Piqué gets paid every time they go, because he was kind of like the middleman in the deal of it all. So, like I said, there's a lot of money that goes around here, and Spain's already a pretty corrupt country. Just keep your eyes peeled. All I'm saying is keep your eyes peeled. It's something to keep your eye on. Um, Obviously, I am going to be biased in this, but as Real
yeah,
Madrid fans, we're preparing for it, because we know how the league is. We know, money is very important to these guys, and the corruption runs real deep.
for sure. I do have a question though. Who do you
Yeah,
think
shoot.
will be the next Barcelona coach? Is it too hard to
I
tell?
think I think they want Jurgen Klopp. I think that's who he wants. So actually, I'll save this guy for last, and then I'll use it as a transition. I think De Zerbi is probably pretty high on the list. Again, let's bring in an inexperienced coach to manage a big club. Okay, that's real fucking
Yeah,
smart. And even experienced big club coaches fail. And Hansi Flick and Julian Nagelsmann's names have been thrown out to apparently Laporta. That's who he wanted initially, was Nagelsmann and Hansi Flick. And Tuchel literally threw his name into the ring himself. I don't know if you saw that interview he did, but he was crying per usual. Um,
yeah.
about he's not respected in Germany. I've only dropped 5 points, blah blah blah, or I've only dropped points in 5 of 6 games. Or no, he went 5 and 6 in Champions League. That's what he said. And then he's only dropped, I don't know how many points. I'll do the math right now. 19 times 3. I'm not doing that math. Fuck that. Oh, actually, I can. 60. He's
57.
dropped 30. Yeah, I was gonna say. I did 20 times 3, and then subtracted 3. So he's dropped 10 points in the league. So it's really not a lot. That's like, I'll tell you how many games they dropped points though, real quick. They've only dropped points from 4 games. So, like, the point being that he's probably going to be out of a job. And actually, Tuchel's the one guy that I probably wouldn't want to go there, because he does a pretty good job against us. Bring in De Zerbi, we'll dog walk him. Bring in Flop. We've dog walked his Liverpool team for freaking since he's gotten there. I don't think he's ever beaten us. He only beat us once with his stacked Dortmund team. Royce, Lewandowski, Gundogan, those guys. Mats Hummels was still there.
Yeah,
But the point being is that I think the problem is, Kev, actually, this is the real issue. They don't have the money to pay anyone. Like,
it's
they're
true.
still paying Coleman's contract out. Xavi's going to be a good guy and walk away and, not. not cause a fuss, like pay me because Xavi's gonna bounce back. He'll find a new job somewhere. He could probably go back to Qatar if he really wanted to. But this is the issue. You don't hire someone who has no experience. I know Pep Guardiola, and I know Zinedine Zidane. But those guys they're unicorns. It's more so those guys are unicorns than this is the norm. Um,
For sure.
Coaches used to have to work their way up, and actually, I'm gonna throw a crazy name out here that you're gonna fucking hate, but it's Thiago Mota. He's from Barca's academy.
Mm.
I actually think that should be the hire, but again, it's a very inexperienced guy that the problem is that Xavi actually should stay in the position, despite us dog walking them. But the problem is that they compare everything to what we do, unfortunately. Instead of looking at it being like, you know what, we have a lot of good young players: Ansu Fati, Lamine Yamal, Gavi, Pedri, Frankie De Jong, Araujo. We brought Kunde in. We got Mats. We got Mats. We got Mats. We got Balde.
Dude,
Um,
the whole team is young except for the striker.
Well, and the striker's killing them. They bring in Victor Roque, and you can. Why don't you just give Xavi like just tell him he's your guy? Like I don't understand. Just I
It's
think it
not like
was right person, right coach, wrong time too. I don't think it was a good time. I don't think I mean Laporta is digging them into an even bigger hole than Bartomeu did because you got to dig yourself out of the hole. You don't and to dig yourself out of the hole, you don't keep digging down. Which is what Laporta has been doing. You bring in Robert Lewandowski, who is on 23 million a year to be way past himself. Yeah, it's just not a lot of good decisions on their end. They spent 70 on Rafinha when they didn't really need him. You brought in Fred Torres. You bring in a Aubameyang for nothing, but then you let him leave. Like, and honestly, I think I'd rather at this point in my career have a Aubameyang than fucking Robert Lewandowski because at least a Aubameyang does a little bit more. Obviously, it's not me that I'm not comparing prime and prime because prime Lua blows him out of the water, but like right
yeah.
now, I think Aubameyang's probably the better player right now. And Aubameyang was really good under Xavi too. Like, it just a lot of their decisions have been bad, and I, I do think I do think Xavi needs to go, but it shouldn't have gotten to this point because these expectations of you need to win trophies, you need to compete with Real Madrid. When the thing is we went through our rebuild way before them. You know what I mean? Like our rebuild started in 2018, right after Cristiano left. And guess what? They had Messi and they dog walked us for a couple years. But we just like them, we won a title here, and then we won a Super Cup here, and like we were still, you're still Real Madrid, so you're winning trophies. And you're still Barcelona, you're gonna win trophies. You're gonna win a Super Cup, you're gonna win a La Liga here and there, and you can still do that when everything goes right. But when everything goes wrong, shit hits the fan when you're like, yo, we got to be winning right now. And I think
Yeah.
they should stop comparing themselves to Real Madrid and start just looking in the mirror instead. That's kind of the difference between Real Madrid and Barcelona throughout their history is, and obviously I'm super biased here, but a lot of Madrid fans say this, Barcelona fans will disagree with this, but Real Madrid's goal is to win trophies. Barcelona's goal is to beat Real Madrid.
Yeah. I get it. I get it, man.
So I just
We,
Oh, and I said I was going to use this to transition. Another name is Pimienta, who was their Barca B coach, who they fired last year, and guess who he's coaching now to an awesome season? Las Palmas, who Real Madrid just beat
mm,
2-1. But um, is there any names that you want to throw out for Barcelona? Because obviously, the truth is Barcelona and Liverpool are going to be fighting for the same names, but they really ideally shouldn't be.
right. I
Because
mean,
they're two completely different systems and two completely different cultures. And, Liverpool can go anyway, but Barca's very specific. And I don't see Liverpool going in the um, positionalism mold. I think they're more of like a relationism. I think prime Liverpool was more of a relationism side than a positionalism side.
yeah. I think the only name that you would say Liverpool can go for that Barca can't is Xabi Alonso, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, uh, if they can outdo Liverpool, Nagelsmann would be pretty cool for them. I think. I think the way that he plays with the what is it, the relative width,
Yeah,
would suit them really well. You know, making the pitch small instead of big. I think that with their technical players like Gavi and Pedri and De Jong, that would work really well. Ferran Torres too. And then if they could somehow bring in Nico Williams, you're looking at a really dangerous team.
kill myself.
Yeah. But
I want him to stay at Athletic Club forever. Like that's one of my
his
hopes.
brother has done it, and Yaki's been wanted plenty of times, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean,
Yeah,
dude, who like if they stay, I know it's a little off topic, but if they stay in Europe like year after year, what does he need to leave for? You know what I mean? Like maybe he wants to win a Champions League, but like, dude, winning trophies with your brother's got to be really fucking cool. In the city you grew up in, like you're like a hometown fucking hero.
yeah, no, that would
And as
be
long as he's still getting called up to the Spanish national team, like what's it really matter?
yeah. It depends on how driven really is he. Does he want to be the best in the world? You know,
Exactly.
because if he wants to win Ballon d'Ors, he probably has to leave. But
Oh, he has to leave. It's not probably. He would
yeah,
have to. Or he would literally have to carry them to like a treble. Something and people are just
yeah,
like, we gotta give it to this guy. It's crazy.
yeah.
But I don't even think he's a Ballon d'Or level player anyway.
Fair enough.
I think he's world class level, but I don't think he's Ballon d'Or level, if you know what I mean. I don't think he has the goal output. But the fact that he can play on both wings pretty seamlessly, and the fact that his left foot is so good is just, I mean, you're looking at a fucking world beater in 4 years.
Yeah,
Especially like, dude, like if Pep was really smart, instead of buying Doku, he should have just went and just fucking ransacked Nico Williams and like imagine Nico under Pep, like he would be insane because he's a really technical player with a incredible ability to be a relationist player at the same time, which is something Pep is kind of resorting back to with Doku and who is the
yes.
wing? Oh, they're bringing in Savinho,
Is that
or
confirmed or like
linked. It's
linked?
like
Okay.
linked, but I mean it's essentially confirmed though because they own him. Like
True,
it's
true.
a city football group player. If they want him, they could just be like, yeah, here you go, 15 mil, cool.
Let's pay ourselves. Yeah, fuck. Um, yeah, I couldn't name any managers that you didn't name that I would like to see at Barcelona. To be honest, I think Postecoglou would be good there, but I don't want him to leave. Um,
The problem is with this Kev is that they're going to look for a guy who is going to be a ball dominant coach and is going to instill the Barca way. And no coaches play like that anymore because it's not effective right now in today's football. So go.
they could look. They could look to get Arteta. I know he downplayed the rumors, but
That is one name that I thought was actually. I was right when I saw the rumors. I was like, it's because of Barca because he's a Barca guy too, which
yeah,
makes sense. And there was one other name that I was thinking of. Who was it? Oh, um, Alguacil from Real Sociedad is someone whose name's been thrown out. I don't think he'll be interested in it. Um, Girona's Michel is someone that should be looked at because he plays similar enough. But they Ernesto Valverde was winning trophies every fucking year, and they ran him out of town. So they don't care about trophies. They want to play the Barca way. They want to play
yeah,
they want to do it. The problem is they want to do it their way and they want to win, and they're not mutually exclusive. Um,
right,
so
right. They want the
you
best of
can't
both
have it
worlds.
both ways. Yeah, exactly. And like, sometimes, just let's just example, any Mourinho team that wins a lot of trophies, like, okay, it's not pretty, but it wins you trophies. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
um transitioning now, Real Madrid come back, win 2-1 against Las Palmas. In I was gonna say the Canary Islands, it's not in the Canary Islands. But Las Palmas are at home, tough away stadium. Um, think it's in Andalusia. Uh, nope, it's definitely in the Canary Islands. I got them and Cadiz mixed up. Um, so Brahim Diaz gets a start. Jude Bellingham suspended. Quiet first half for Brahim, and um, Camavinga just honestly, you're gonna think I'm crazy, Kev. I forgot how good Eduardo Camavinga was. I don't know if you saw his assist to Vinny, but
I
I
did.
mean, dude, he just ran the game. Started in a DM role. It was a little bit of different squad. Fede got some rest. Fran Garcia, just incredible player. Really different than Ferland Mendy. I mean, this guy's motor is kind of insane. And Real Madrid come out with 3 points. Vinicius scores, and then God, who scored the second? The crazy thing is, this game was on Saturday and it's only Monday, but like the world of football just moves so fast that I just, I've watched
I get
so
it.
many games in that time period. Oh yeah, Aurelien Chouameni comes on, which my friend actually texted me like, "Why are we pulling off Camavinga?" And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, because you want the height, because you're going to be sending in crosses. You know what I mean? Because like you're going to get corners and stuff, so you want your big guys on the pitch. If like nobody wants to win from a corner, but you'll take it. I mean, like,
Yeah, of
um,
course.
so Real Madrid win 2-1, walk away with 3 points, and they are not top of La Liga, but they still have a game in hand, which I believe is Thursday. This Thursday. Yeah, on February 1st, Real Madrid play Getafe, and if they win, they will go top of La Liga. They're 1 point back of Girona. Real Madrid are 17-3-1, and Girona are 17-4-1. Um, and just let's just fill out the top four. Atletico in third with 44 points, and Barcelona in fourth with 44 points, and Athletic Club draw. Remember we were talking about Athletic Club in third, Athletic Club in third. They drew and lost their last two, and now find themselves in fifth place again. So it looks like the Big Four is starting to take shape of kind of what we expected based on Girona's run, and Barca are only 10 points back from second though, with a game in hand to Girona, so it's not so bad for them as it seems.
Yes, of course not.
And Real Madrid play Getafe, and then on the weekend they play Atletico, and then the weekend after they play Girona, and then midweek they play Leipzig. So a lot of tough games coming up for Girona, so they can catch up. Tough game coming up for Atletico and Real, and a tough game coming up for Girona and Real. Yeah, and so Barcelona will be able, if they have two good results. They play Alaves, that should be a win, and they play Granada, that should be a win. Two pretty much bottom half of the table teams. Olive figures they get Alaves on a 3-game winner.
Yeah.
Just it's I'm sure their fans are like our fucking luck. But yeah, so maybe things are looking up for Barca at this time, and like I said, pay attention to that gap because it's going to shorten here in a sec. But we also had FA Cup. Bournemouth thrash Swansea 5-0. Chelsea get held to a 0-0 draw at home against Aston Villa, and they get a replay. Newcastle beat Fulham in another big match, and Tottenham just lose to Man City 1-0. Despite Man City producing over 3 xG, they get the goal from, who was it, Nathan Ake on a corner?
Yes.
Kev, I'm sorry, man. Your prediction is now officially wrong.
Yeah, it took like a week for it to be wrong. And another one of my predictions will be wrong later. No, yeah, this match was painful as a Spurs fan. City absolutely dominated us. Like there was 10, 15 minutes to the start of the second half where it's like, okay, this could be our usual City win where we beat them 1-0. Luckily. But it didn't turn out that way. We lacked midfield structure. We lacked any impetus going forward whatsoever. Richarlison, there was a few moments. Brennan Johnson had our only shot, and it was like right in front of the keeper, and he couldn't get it over Ortega. Um, all around, it was a really poor game. I should have seen it coming, to be honest. Like hindsight's 2020, obviously, but
Always.
It took a wonder goal from Porro to beat Burnley 1-0 at home in the FA Cup. No wonder goals here today or Friday for Spurs. I will say our defense was very resolute. Vicario, good saves. Romero and Van de Ven, big tackles and showing great recovery pace. But no, it was a bad game. Um,
So I actually do have a question.
yeah,
Did Tottenham stick to their normal high line? We're gonna go punch for punch. Um, did Vicario stand on his head? I see over 3 xg, but I only see one goal, and it's from a corner and a header. Um, was Chelsea, God, sorry, were Tottenham giving up chances in transition? Were they giving up chances? Like, were City getting good shots and just not taking advantage of it? Just how did that 3 xg come to fruition?
yeah. So there was one chance that really comes to mind. It was probably like a .6, .7 even maybe for KDB. He should have scored. It was like inches wide, completely unmarked, pretty much on the penalty spot, with just a free shot on Vicario, but he missed. Vicario some big saves as well. What really started to hurt us in the second half was Pep brought on Doku, and Pasakaklu played an even higher line in the second half. So, in transition, Porto had a lot to do for Doku, and he was able to stretch the pitch. And he brought on KDB as well, who found him sometimes, and they really started to force the ball down their left and our right. And that's kind of where it came from. Doku won like 4 corners for them as well. So yeah, that's
So
that's where it was.
so you're obviously still Anjan. I'm not saying this changes anything. So for Ange's system to work, to compete with the Liverpools, the cities, even on a European stage, let's just say the Bayerns, the Real Madrids, the Barças, the Napolis, the Inters, what needs to change? Do you think the tactical philosophy's fine? Just needs right players? Do you think he needs to stop being so aggressive in his press, I guess, because he has such a high line?
No, I don't think he needs to stop. This is You got to keep in mind we were without Sar and Basuma here, which is ironically no, it's the wrong word, but I think in my opinion more important than missing Son in this game at least, because Basuma and Sar are the players that progress the ball for us. We gave our front three no service. Even when Madison came on, Madison played for 30 minutes in this game. He
He's
couldn't
just
even get
back,
the
right?
ball. Yeah, he just came back. He couldn't even get the ball because he was playing in like a true 10 role. I don't
Hmm.
think I don't think Postacoglu wanted him to like drop deep. I mean, there's a few spots, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Once he found out that he wasn't getting the ball, he was like, "All right, I'm gonna go get the ball," and he started to
Yeah,
drop
you
deep.
have to.
But that's just that tells the story. He had to drop deep to get the ball. It was Hoiberg and Bentancur, and then eventually Skip. They couldn't get anything going in the midfield. So I say that to say Pasacaglu doesn't need to change. We need more depth in midfield, and long term, we need more depth in attack. Um, I don't know. I've discussed it slightly. Brennan Johnson, I like him as a player. I think he, down the right, provides obviously something much different than Kulusevski. He's going to drive to the byline more often, where Kulusevski will cut inside. But yeah, I don't think he needs to change. I think if we were able to sign someone like Nicolo Barella, that would
That's a
be the
tough
key.
one. That's
That
a
would be
tough
the
one.
key. Yeah,
Um, might need to look for same profile, different person. Um,
yeah. Maybe someone like Manu Kone. Um, I don't know.
I didn't get to watch this game, unfortunately. I was busy doing something. What was it on
Yeah,
Friday? I was
Yeah.
probably driving or teaching. But I just remember texting you and be like, "How is this game still 0-0?" And then you texted me like, "Well, it's not anymore." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But yeah, just Man City is a different beast, and Tottenham should aspire to be Man City. They can be. They really wanted to be. Also, some thoughts here. Just a quick question. I know the owner of Tottenham just got in trouble for insider trading. Um, the reason he is, and it's not Daniel Levy, it's the other guy.
Yeah.
You,
Joe
you,
Lewis.
thank you. And it wasn't even like he was for real insider trading. He was just like his driver was taking him to like a deal, and he was like, "Hey, I'm about to close this deal. You should really buy this." Like just like But he's 80 some years old. Do you think he's gonna sell? There's rumblings that he's gonna sell.
So yeah, it's become like a bit more prominent within the last 18 months, I'd say. Um, Qatar is obviously showing interest in us and United. Um, Obviously, United not anymore, but Qatar has shown interest. I believe, I
You
forget,
don't want
someone
that
else.
circus.
Yeah, probably not. He might sell. I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't really know.
Would you be open to a sale if it was to the right person?
Yeah, of course, of course. I don't know. We could, you know what? Maybe not because our financials are really good. We just became
Yeah.
the richest club in London. We're the eighth richest club in the world now. You know, sure, like the on the pitch stuff hasn't really correlated to that, but I think we have the right guy now in Postacoglu for that to happen. Um,
I'm intrigued on the Postacoglu topic, to see how this evolves. I don't think the tactics are sustainable long term, unless
yeah, but
you spend big on, you need dogs in defense to be able to play like that, man. Um, Pep has essentially Pep has done it a little different, because Pep plays that super high line, and he plays with four center backs now, essentially. Especially in big games, you'll see a Kanji at right back, you'll see Ake at left back, and you'll see Stones and Diaz in the middle, and you got four center backs back there. Um,
yeah,
so I think Postecoglou. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just think he needs a tactical innovation to make this work properly long term and actually compete. Right now, it's really fun. Like it's really fun. It's great to watch. I'm loving it. I'm sure you're loving it as a fan because it's completely different than anything you've witnessed with your own team. It's free flowing. It's scoring. Um, but against the big dogs, it's tough, man.
it is tough. We don't have the players to. I see where you're coming from. We don't have the players to play this way and beat City, consistently. It's going to be
Yeah.
two or three out of 10 times. But over time, I see it happening. I will be quick to remind you that there are a lot of people saying Klopp's system when he first came to Liverpool wasn't sustainable enough, and in the way they were right because they only had like one little magic window, but in a way they were also wrong because they had the one little magic window. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I'm just
I
playing
do.
devil's advocate. I'm not strong. I don't strongly feel on either side. I'm
Yeah,
just saying the concerns that I have as a tactical mind looking at the product I'm watching.
for sure. No, we definitely need more depth. Or you're right. There needs to be
Like
some innovation.
imagine you played like Real Madrid with like Vinny, Rodrigo, and Jude running at you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like imagine Liverpool, like just like imagine like prime Liverpool with Salah in his prime, Mane and Firmino running at you. Like big hooked high lines. You know what I mean? Like any beast transition side right now is going to kill that high line. And that's my only
yeah,
concern. I actually think against Man City, you guys actually You match up pretty well. That's the word I was looking for. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And I was reminded, like I mentioned, Pascal played a higher line in the second half, and while they scored in the second half, we had better chances in the second half. Um, he played more conservatively in the first half, and it kind of bit us in the butt. Like we should have been down 1 or 2 goals heading into halftime.
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll see. I do think we need some more depth in left back specifically. Ben Davies can't play the inverted wingback role. Um, so that's very niche though. Like we're gonna need to sign a midfielder or two before we do
Yeah.
anything like that.
And
Um,
just, the last point here, switching to the Man City side. Um, is this a team? Do you think you guys were lucky that they didn't concede, or do you think City was unlucky, or do you think this is kind of par of the course for Man City this season?
Without Holland, most certainly. Now that
Okay.
Alvarez isn't like red hot, they haven't
Yeah,
been like they haven't been
that purple
dominant.
patch is over.
Yes, I know they destroyed Huddersfield, but like,
That's
okay,
Huddersfield. Yeah, like
yeah,
come on. You should destroy
um,
Huddersfield. You could play the
yeah,
B squad and destroy Huddersfield. No
yeah.
disrespect at all.
If they had Holland in this game, yes, they would have been a bit different tactically, but they would have scored more goals than just 1 goal. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think they were unlucky not to win by 2. I wouldn't say 3,
Okay.
but 2.
Okay. And anything else before we just bump on?
No, other than no, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Okay. So just gonna go through some quick hitters real quick here. Nothing to see here. Liverpool tie Fulham 1-1 and advance to the final, winning 2-1 on aggregate. Chelsea demolished Middlesbrough, winning 6-1 after being 1-0 down. Chelsea dominated home again, which is part of the problem for the FA Cup. They got to play Aston Villa away from home. Not going to look good for them, in my opinion. If you're a betting man, I would bet on Aston Villa to advance. Milan and Bologna tied 2-2. And then Fiorentina lose to Inter 1-0 despite dominating and missing a penalty. Inter didn't even have 1 XG that game. Um,
No, yeah,
any thoughts on the 4 games I just mentioned?
not necessarily. Other than if Chelsea somehow wins some silverware, I'm gonna be really butthurt. Like, sure, it's to
Okay,
care about, but
fair.
yeah, I don't.
That's
Yeah,
fair. Um, Stuttgart actually beat Leipzig. I believe it was 3-2. Uh, I watched the first half and then I kind of got busy with life. It was still on in the background, but I was in a completely different room in my house. I believe it was 3-2. 5-2. God. Oh yeah, I remember it.
Gee,
They went off. Um, First half was good. Not really upset that I missed the second half after re-looking at the score. So I remember like looking, I was like 5-2. I remembered predicting that Stuttgart wasn't gonna do well in the second half, but they beat a very good Leipzig team. Leverkusen dropped points. Bayern closed that lead down to 2 points, and despite dominating Mönchengladbach, quite unlucky for Xabi's guys.
yeah, I want to say they put up like this is me reaching. I want to say it was like 2.7 xg. They obliterated them.
They did. It was about 2.7. Just real
Yeah,
unlucky for them, unfortunately. Um, Moving on, just want to just touch on Bayern. They win 1-0 against Union. They win 3-2 against Augsburg. Are we worried about Bayern? Because they're really good on paper. Honestly, they might be the best team in the world on paper, but they really don't look that good. No six, according to Tuchel. Kimmich is off form. No right back. Guerrero playing the six. They just, I put here they're not scoring lots of goals, but they aren't and aren't. When they score a lot of goals, they concede a lot of goals. When they don't score a lot of goals, they don't concede a lot of goals. They're much better on paper than they perform, and Tuchel, pretty unhappy with the German media.
yeah. Of course he is. He's a crybaby.
He always is, yeah. He's a little baby back bitch.
yeah, yeah, he is. Um, um, I'm not.
He's gotta go after this year, right? Like this has got to be it
Yeah,
for him.
I'm not truly worried about Bayern just because you know that, you know, whoever the next guy is, they'll be fine again. And Xabi
Yeah,
Alonso will eventually leave the Bundesliga, and you know they'll win it.
they
Um,
could still win this league this year, though. They're only two
for
points
sure,
back.
for sure. Um,
But
I
who do they
think
hire? That's kind of the question mark here,
well, then they're in the same market as Liverpool and Barca. Um,
especially Liverpool.
yes, um, they could get Xabi Alonso, and that would be pretty crazy, actually. Um, I think Liverpool's squad would work better for Xabi Alonso's, but both teams don't really work for Xabi. Like he would have to make signings no matter where he went. Anyways, yeah, no, I'm not too worried about Bayern. I think who do
I
they
think
have?
Bayern fits him better now that I'm thinking about it. The
You
three
do,
center backs, yeah, the three center backs. If you keep Fonzie, you have him play the Grimaldo role. Sache Boey can play the Frimpong role. You get Kimmich and Goretzka in the double pivot playing the Palacios and Shaka role. You get Kane up top, and then you kind of just have to figure out who plays those two central forward roles. Obviously,
Musiala,
Musiala plays one, and then that other one is kind of open. You probably try to move on from Gnabry because it won't fit. You could probably fit Sane into one of them if you wanted to too.
or you just sign Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, I'm sure that would actually be what he want to do. Um,
Yeah, that
the
you're right.
team would be gross. Oh my god. Oh,
Yeah, no, you're right. That team
oh
would be pretty gross.
man, it's so good. Oh,
It would be.
oh, man, that's crazy, bro. Honestly,
So
if
yeah,
I'm buying, I'm sign him.
yeah,
It's a pretty easy thought process too. You know, it only took us like 5 seconds to just be like, oh my god.
yeah.
And Coleman can play on either wing back side too.
True. Yeah. The only thing Bayern have to worry about, in terms of the squad long term, is goalie.
Yeah,
Um,
which shouldn't be hard for them to figure out. They're Bayern,
no.
like just go find a very good goalie and sign him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's what elite no, seriously, but that's what elite clubs do, Liverpool just went and signed Alisson, Real Madrid just went and signed Courtois, and goalies forms are so dependent on the team around them too. You know what I mean? Like um Vicario, like he was a nobody, but now because he's at Tottenham, he's a somebody. Like honestly, if Tottenham were like, we need money now, they could probably sell Vicario for like 50 to 80 mil, somewhere in that range.
yeah. No,
And they bought him for 13.
he is quickly becoming one of the better goalies. I would say in Europe. I know that's probably
I
biased,
would
but
tend to agree though.
his shot
But that's
stopping
how that's
ability.
how I was gonna say that's how it goes for goalies though. Um, and they come and go, and you can always go grab a goalie from someone that is good. And you can always find a goalie to hold you over for a little while. This has kind of been Juve's problem is they haven't really gone into the goalie market because they're really happy with Chesney,
Yeah,
and he's not very good, but he's good enough. So yeah, uh, that's the only problem would be Neuer. And they
yeah,
could find someone in the Bundesliga. They could find someone in Serie A. They could find they could go grab like a fucking I don't know. You can find one. You can go to the Greek league and find a good goalie. There's good goalies in every league. As Brentford just signed the best goalie in the Swedish league.
yeah.
And I don't know what they paid, but I'm sure it wasn't a lot.
Knowing
Um,
them, it was nothing.
exactly. And I put here Tuchel, will he last? I think we both will say he'll be gone by the end of the year. Would be our guess.
I would
Um,
hope. I would
if
hope
they
for
win the
Bayern.
league, if they win the league, does that change for you or no? You'd still move on.
It depends on how they. It depends on how they do in the UCL. You know,
Okay.
they have Lazio. They'll probably beat them. They should.
Yeah, they should.
But like, if they were to get knocked out by Lazio, then winning the
Oh,
league
he'd
doesn't.
he'd probably get gone. He'd probably be gone in the moment if they got knocked out by
Yeah.
Lazio. They
So
fired Nagelsmann for less. Do you think they're regretting firing Nagelsmann at this point? I'm sure the fans are.
without a doubt, like I know that there were some things with certain players, right?
Yeah, he had problems with some players. Neuer didn't really like him, and Lewandowski didn't like him, but that was about it. Mueller had problems with him, but they squashed that beef pretty quickly,
So the old guard had problems with the young coach.
as as they always do at Bayern.
Yeah.
It's not anything new, you know.
So yeah. And if Mueller reconciled with Nagelsmann, then I think that speaks to Nagelsmann probably being a good guy. Mueller is a good moral compass to follow, I
He
think.
does. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And these are, and one of my buddies is like, nah, stay away from the Gaussman. He got fired from Bayern. I'm like, dude, he's a Real Madrid fan. I'm like, dude, we literally have Carlo who got fired because his training sessions were too easy, according to Ribery and Robin. And that's why they got him fired. So it's a club where
Yeah.
the players hold too much power right now. Kind of like Real Madrid did in the during the three-peat. You know, a lot of our players had too much power. So yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
are you good on club? Moving on to
Absolutely. Yeah.
all right. Australia beat Indonesia 4-0. Tajikistan beat United Arab Emirates on penalties. And they are not matched up with each other. But Iraq loses to Jordan despite being up 2-1 and then getting a red and then giving up a goal in the 90 plus 5 and then 90 plus 7, despite Jordan getting a red in the 90 plus 6. So they were even. And then Jordan still scored another. Um, Qatar beat Palestine today 2-1 to advance. And then we still have Uzbekistan versus Thailand, Saudi Arabia versus South Korea, both tomorrow. And then on Wednesday we have Bahrain versus Japan and Iran versus Syria. Um, so in the semifinals, right, or in semis, in the quarterfinals right now, we have Tajikistan versus Jordan, Australia versus TBD, and Qatar versus TBD. Um, have your favorites for this tournament changed? I'm kind of waiting to see how that Saudi games plays out, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that is probably the best game here, or it is without a doubt.
Yeah,
Because those are two of the stronger competitors left. I would say no. I still expect Japan to win, but I would be less surprised now if you want to put it that way.
I think they get past Bahrain. And then I expect Iran to beat Syria pretty
Yeah,
easily.
they should.
And then Thailand, Uzbekistan, whoever wins that game, I expect to get knocked out.
Yeah,
And then it just kind of all comes down to who's playing who. I kind of suspect Jordan to knock out Tajikistan and make their way to the semis. And then I'm assuming they'll play Australia, whoever Australia plays. But I'm by the look of it, at least if South Korea beats Saudi and Japan beats Bahrain, they probably won't be matched up against each other, which makes for a potential better semifinal. Um,
yeah,
the deeper you get into the competition, the better.
yes, without a doubt. Um, no, whoever Australia is matched up against will be interesting. I don't know how the bracket goes. Is it going to be Qatar? No, it's not.
No, Qatar, they're already. I haven't seen a bracket, but Qatar already has their name slotted in to play on Saturday at 10:30, and Australia already has themselves slotted in to play Friday at 10:30. I can try to
Huh.
find a bracket though, because there probably is one, but it's just kind of weird. How Australia was the first game, and they still haven't had an opponent yet, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no,
Um,
for sure.
because that means they're gonna have extra rest to potentially.
Yeah, they're playing on Friday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. That is really
Yeah.
weird.
Um, Australia plays the winner of Saudi Arabia and South Korea.
See,
Um,
that's where it gets interesting.
yeah. And then Iran and the winner of Iran and Syria play the winner of Bahrain and Japan, and then Qatar play the winner of Uzbekistan and Thailand. So I'm personally thinking we're going to see Qatar, Japan. Jordan, and the winner. I don't know, dude. That extra rest is really gonna help Australia.
Yeah. I'm
I probably
assuming
think Australia will win that game just because of the extra rest.
over the winner of Saudi, South Korea.
Yeah,
Probably.
bro. That extra
Son,
rest is crazy, bro.
that is strange. I don't, that's weird. I don't like that. I don't
Me
like that
neither.
at all.
No, it's unfair.
I'm assuming South Korea or Saudi Arabia topped their group. And
Saudi did.
yeah,
South Korea got
so
second. I'm pretty sure.
now they're going to get penalized by topping their group. Anyways, that's no bueno. You want to go to
It's no
AFCON?
fun. Yes. A lot going on here.
Yeah.
Angola beats Nambia 3-0. Nigeria beats Cameroon 2-0. We'll talk about Onana in a sec. Equatorial Guinea loses to Guinea 1-0 in the 90 plus. Egypt gets knocked out by Congo on penalties. Cape Verde easily wins against Mauritania, I think is how it's Tanaya. I don't know how it's said. And then right
Mauritania.
before Mauritania, thank you. And then right before we started recording, Senegal, my favorite, your favorite, gets eliminated by the Ivory Coast, the host, on penalties.
Yeah, it's an absolute shame for Senegal. They also got matched up against a difficult opponent compared to other nations. No disrespect to them, but it's just the truth. Um, so wait. Penalties. Oh, okay. Yeah. So they went to penalties after conceding in the 86th minute. That sucks.
Yeah, yeah, it really does suck.
I saw that the Ivory Coast midfield was playing really well. That was always going to be the key in this game. Which midfield was going to be on the better day? Um, just terms of controlling the ball because that's what these games come down to. Both teams, I'm sure, aren't playing like super intricate stuff. It's probably mostly crossing, and your midfield is going to generate those chances, by kicking it out to the wing. Yeah, it sucks to see Senegal go out,
It
but
does. No.
Ivory Coast,
Yeah,
at home.
good for them, to be quite honest. You kind of have to like a team like Nigeria's chances at this point, as they play Angola and then they play the winner of Cape Verde versus the winner of Morocco and South Africa. Would you expect Morocco to beat South Africa? That Morocco team's pretty good too, as we saw from the World Cup. So we're probably looking at a Nigeria, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Guinea semifinal. In the Ivory Coast because I expect them to beat Mali or Burkina Faso. I don't think either are that good in my opinion. And
Both teams are okay,
yeah, but I don't think
especially
they're
Mali.
beating the Ivory Coast though. Especially beating Senegal, they're going to be pretty hyped, pretty excited about that, I think.
Cape Verde is the team that surprised me the most. They've been
Yeah,
dominating like everyone.
they have. I still think Morocco probably beats them though. Just gut feeling. But you know, Nigeria has a pretty clear way to the final, in my opinion, and are now my favorites. Have your favorites changed? Do you think? Obviously,
Well,
your
they've
favorites have changed because Senegal is
yeah,
not in it anymore.
yeah. I think I'm with you now, Nigeria. Although the team that I want to win it has also changed. I want Cape Verde to win it now, man. That would
That'd
be
be
so
cool,
much fun.
yeah.
That would be so
Or
much
I'd be
fun.
cool with like Ivory Coast winning it, like they're hosting.
Yeah.
So beyond that, we should probably talk about Onana a little bit. Onana decides to show up late,
Yeah.
is pissed that he gets benched after missing game one. Um, Plays game two and then gets benched in game three. Um, I mean, just the nerve of a player.
Yeah.
Like
He go ahead.
no, no, you go. I was just gonna say he put his club first and then expected to be treated like a fucking king.
Yeah, no, he's kind of like United embodied, just disorganized, chaos mess. And I had a lot of respect for him when he was at Ajax, and then obviously, what was it? Was it the gambling? Did he
Those
gamble?
steroids, I think.
Steroids. Okay, well that's makes it.
Some sort of drug.
It wasn't probably like a PED or anything. It was probably just something that his trainer told him to take that he wasn't allowed to.
It was a doping. Um,
Oh, it was doping. It genuinely
yeah,
was. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And I don't know if you know, but he pretty much fucked over Ajax. Um,
How
because
so?
he left for free, and he was suspended for a year, and they paid him for the whole year of him being suspended, and he left for free. He got a 12-month suspension from all football-related activity for violating UEFA's anti-doping regulations of 2018. Um, Onana violation related to an out-of-competition sample provided by Onana to a UEFA doping control officer on October 5th, 2020. In the Champions League, his sample tested positive for the presence of furosemide, a diuretic, non-performance enhancing drug, but which can be used as a masking agent for performance enhancing drugs.
Oh boy. Well,
Yeah,
point being, he's had a tumultuous career, and this is, it just continues here. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's quite disrespectful to all the Cameroonians, for sure.
I was gonna say it's got to be. You can't be a good person to just kind of leave your country hanging when you're the country's clear number one. Obviously, you go look at their roster, and he is one of the best players they have altogether. I mean, looking at their starting 11, I think he probably is their most important player, on paper at the very least. And looking at their bench, he's definitely the person with the most recognizable name. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And they they lost 2-0 to Nigeria. Yeah, so they're done, and that's obviously not all Onana's fault, but
Definitely didn't help. You're
not a
you're
good
you're
not a good
showing your
look.
team. No, you're showing your team that you're putting something else before
And that's just,
team.
to take it to United. Why would you sign a player like this? You know that this guy is like this before you bring him in. I don't know. That's just what's wrong with them. They sign players like this. Whereas someone like Spurs, or I don't think Madrid would sign a guy like this either.
Well, we
Um,
didn't sign Luis Suarez because of him biting people, so
yeah, there you go. Exactly. So yeah, that's all I
I
got.
mean, we've definitely signed people with suspect moral compasses, but the whole Benzema thing, and Cristiano Ronaldo getting in trouble for rape, even though it was just the Benzema thing was blown out of proportion. The Cristiano stuff was fake. But the point being is that uh, sometimes you can separate football from personal life, and sometimes you can't and shouldn't. And I'm not saying that I know Onana as a person, or I'm saying he's a bad person. I don't really know. But the point being that he really let down his country. I heard people saying that like he should never come back to Cameroon because he's gonna get killed.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently the country's really pissed off with him because, like I said, bro, he's the most recognizable name. I don't know who else is Cameroonian, and this is gonna sound terrible, but he's probably their best ever keeper. I'd have to guess. Um,
I would I would be inclined to agree. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's disrespectful to the entire country.
there's one guy's name that's on the tip of my tongue that I know he's Cameroonian, and he's pretty good, but I don't think he was as good as Onana ever was.
I
Onana's
mean,
only has 3 appearances in 2023-24 for them. So,
it's terrible.
the guy who played was their starter in 16-17. By the looks of it, he played 16 games for them. Um, yeah, I don't really see. I don't know. I'm looking at the list of their keepers, and I don't really see anyone who sticks out other than Andre Onana's name. So yeah, I mean, I think that's. I didn't want to sound disrespectful, but it seems like I was pretty spot on. Um,
Yeah.
and they have. It's not like Cameroon is known as like this fantastic football nation. Other than having Samuel Eto'o. Um, I'm not really sure they've had anybody else worthy of um, like having as much status as Onana does. So it's pretty disrespectful to put it lightly.
No, yeah, he's one of their better players in
Probably they've ever
in the
seen.
21st century for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
I'm looking at a list of their best players and I don't really recognize any of them.
let me see. I want to look at it now.
Um, most of them applied their trade in Africa. Roger Mia, um,
Samuel,
Samuel Eto'o's obviously the best.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
never really
he's
had
in my
anyone.
opinion, he's the best African footballer of all time. But um,
Chupo Moting, Joel Matip, Alex Song. They've had
yeah,
some guys.
yeah, but no one to either Onana or how much did Onana go to United for?
How much?
Like 56,
It
50?
was a good amount, yeah.
Ah, Jesus. How much did United pay for Onana? 47.2. That's got to be the most expensive Cameroonian signing of all time. Granted,
Yeah.
it's relative, but still.
Yeah.
57.2 million pound, 55 million euros. So what I say 56, I was pretty close. Um, but yeah, just point being is that, I think he thinks he probably holds himself in high regard amongst his Cameroonian teammates, which is kind of fucked up.
It definitely showed.
Anything else, Kev?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. These podcasts should be getting shorter soon as we start to get more midweek important games coming up. We'll have one. We probably won't have one this midweek, so it'll probably be another long one for the listeners. I know these have been really long. Um, but after that, Champions League comes back. Looking at the schedule, um, definitely next midweek, we are going to try to get together to do a UCL preview. So that will be a midweek, which will probably touch on other stuff. And then we'll probably come back the Monday following that, and hit you again with the weekend games. So we'll be back to a midweek weekend, hopefully keeping these less than an hour 30. I know we've been pushing them. But
Yeah.
thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. Any support, we appreciate. We do this because we love it. That's literally it. Um, Kev, great talking to you. I'll see you tomorrow.
You the same. I'll see you tomorrow.